Number 1. Cabin on the Lake. The scariest thing that ever happened to me happened about 10 years ago. I was trying to find a quiet place, far from society. I wanted it to be quiet, and for me to be completely isolated from everyone. I figured that would be the only way that I would ever be able to completely relax. So I rented a cabin on a hill, overlooking a lake. So the cabin was great. The lake was beautiful, and the area was quiet. I was able to get a whole lot of rest on the first day. It was also amazing just how quiet everything was. It's not until you really get away from all the noise of society that you realize what quiet can actually be. And it was wonderful. Well, it was wonderful for about a day. On the second day, I decided to go and explore the beach around the lake. I waited until evening, so maybe I could watch the sunset as I walked around. Not too very far from my cabin, I noticed that there was something lying on the beach. I thought I would go and introduce myself, since I was quite surprised that anyone was around. As I got closer to the person, I began to get a little nervous. And once I was right upon the person, I found out why. It was a dead body, laying on the beach. Upon closer look, there were several knife wounds in the chest. The worst part was that the murder looked like it had happened very recently, within a few days even. Absolutely terrified, I ran as quickly as I could back to the cabin. I guess I should have left immediately, but it had been getting dark outside. Not only that, but I heard the crunching sounds of leaves, and I was afraid that whomever killed that person was following me. My mind then began playing tricks on me. I had my car, but I began to wonder if someone was in my car. You know, like in those urban legends. My paranoid mind started coming up with all sorts of scenarios, and I was too terrified to tell myself that they were all just in my head. I wasn't able to shake my fears enough to leave the cabin and get into my car. I went into the kitchen and grabbed a knife. It was the only weapon around. I took it and then went into the living room. I moved a chair up against the wall, so I could keep an eye on the door. Of course, I was totally pissed at myself for not being somewhere that had a telephone. So the entire night, every single noise, every little sound, every rustling of the wind just terrified the hell out of me. I can't tell you how many times I saw someone looking in one of the windows at me. I can't tell you how many times I thought I heard someone knocking on the door. Every creak in the cabin made me jump, assuming that someone else was walking around in there with me. And despite all of this, I was more scared of going out of the cabin. At least inside, I had the walls to protect me. Well, I guess it's obvious that nothing happened. I wouldn't have been able to share this story with you. But in the morning, when it was finally light outside, I was able to muster up the courage to get my things, get out of the car, and drive out of there. I reported the body to the police. As far as I know, no one was ever captured. Number 2. Beach Party. 5 friends and I decided to have a beach party at night. We went to a less popular beach because we figured we would have the beach mostly to ourselves. Plus, we really had planned on staying well into the night. We packed up the snacks, the beer, the hot dogs, and other things, you know. We built a big fire on the beach and had a really nice time. We had a great time well into the night. There were a few other people on the beach, but we were all spread out, that it almost seemed like we were alone. Pretty early after the sun went down, I noticed a guy walking in our direction on the beach. He was closer to the water, though. He was really creepy looking, and he kept looking at us as he walked by. I put it out of my mind, though, because there's really nothing wrong with him walking down the beach. About 30 minutes later, however, I noticed that he was walking back the other way, and just like before, he didn't take his eyes off us until he was completely past us. I started thinking he was probably some guy who was lonely and wanted to party with us, but was too shy to ask. I was actually relieved that he was probably too shy because I really didn't want him around. This happened at least 4 or 5 times in the night. Each time it was exactly like before. This continued late into the night until we ended the party, put out the fire, and went home. The following day, watching the local news, we heard about 2 women getting attacked on the beach the night that we were there. They quickly had found the man who attacked them, and sure enough, it was the creepy guy who'd been passing us over and over on the beach. This got me to thinking. There were 6 of us at that party. We all ended up leaving together. This guy kept checking on us, over and over. I wondered if he was waiting for some of us to leave, so he could attack a couple of us that were left. Now, I have no proof really for this thought, but isn't it a valid and somewhat freaky thought? Number 3. Jog on the beach. I usually have a lot of things to do during the day. However, I really like to keep in shape. I don't go into work until noon, and I don't get out until 9 p.m. So for several years, I used to take a jog around the lake at close to midnight. It wasn't even really scary, you know. I live in a pretty safe area, and normally when I'm jogging, I'm too involved in the exercise to worry about things. The week that this story takes place was a busy week. In fact, for 4 days, I was too exhausted to even jog at night. And if you exercise, you must realize that if you go several days without working out, you begin to get very antsy. So by Friday night, I really needed to go for a jog. I almost didn't, because there was a huge fog coming up off the lake. It was creepy and not to mention probably dangerous. Like I said though, I was getting too antsy, so I went ahead and went for it. The fog only got thicker as I jogged. Fortunately though, there was enough light for me to keep jogging. I have to admit that I was actually enjoying it. The creep factor was actually somewhat cool, as I normally don't get scared. My jog usually consists of 1 lap around the entire lake. As I was maybe about 3/4 of the way around the lake, I thought I saw someone standing up ahead of me. They were far enough ahead that I could only see a little bit of a shadow. As I got closer and closer, the person came more and more into focus. He was just standing there, not moving. When I got really close, I don't know, maybe 10 yards away, the guy came into really good focus, and he was holding what looked like a bat or a machete. Just the complete shock of what I was running up to caused me to try to slow down. That then caused me to trip and fall flat on my face in the sand. I quickly looked up to see if the shadow of the guy was still standing there, and he wasn't. That was no comfort, though. I quickly got up and tried to get my bearings. I still didn't see the shadow of the guy, and I looked all around to see if he had moved, but I saw nothing. Completely freaked, I just decided to walk back to my car. I didn't want to take the chance of not being aware. It took me a good 15 minutes to walk back to the car. All the while, my head looking in every direction. I didn't see the guy again, although I thought I saw him from the corner of my eye several times. Getting into my car was even a bit frightening. I thought that I would open the door and he'd be in my back seat or something, but he wasn't. I don't really know what I saw. Only what it looked like. I guess the fog can play tricks on your eyes, I don't know. But when I saw it, it was the scariest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. Hey y'all, Killer Orange Cat here. If you like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. If you're not already subscribed to Killer Orange Cat, please consider hitting the subscribe button below, or the icon of Ichigo that will appear at the end of this video. Feel free to leave me a comment to let me know what you thought of the video, and share it with someone you think might enjoy it. You can always feel free to follow Ichigo and myself on Facebook and Twitter. If you have a story you'd like narrated on Killer Orange Cat, please email it to the address included in the description. And don't forget to make sure to check in your closet and check under your bed, because you never know where a Killer Orange Cat might be hiding. Good night.